Everyone talks about rigging, ballot box snatching, INEC manipulation, compromise courts, and yes, all of that is real. But if you think that is how Nigerian elections are really won and lost, you're watching the wrong movie. The real game is smarter, deeper, and more sophisticated than anything you have seen on your television screen. And tonight, Political Vote is going to show you exactly how it works. Stay with me. Before we talk about how elections are won, we need to understand something fundamental about Nigerian politics that most people refuse to say out loud. Nigeria does not have political parties. Nigeria has political vehicles. A party in Nigeria is not an ideology. It is not a set of beliefs. It is a boss. And whoever controls the boss controls who gets on, who gets off, and where the boss is going. This is why you see the same faces moving from PDP to APC to Labour Party to NDC without blinking. They are not changing their beliefs, they are changing bosses. And the man who owns the boss garage, that is the real power in Nigerian politics. We call him the Godfather. Every geopolitical zone in Nigeria has a Godfather. Some have two fighting for control. The Godfather is not always the governor, not always the senator. Sometimes he is a businessman nobody has ever seen on television. Sometimes he is a retired general. Sometimes he is a traditional ruler with a palace full of politicians begging for his blessing. What does the Godfather do? Three things. One, he controls the structure, the local government chairman, the ward councillors, the party executives, all the way down to the political unit level. They answer to him, not the party. Two, he controls the money. Election funding in Nigeria does not come from party coffers. It comes from Godfathers, from contractors who want government business, and from state sources that should be going towards schools and hospitals. Three, he controls access. Wants to be governor, you need his blessing. Wants to be senator, you negotiate with him first. Without the structure, the money and access, your campaign does not exist. Now, let us talk about what actually moves votes in Nigeria. And I want you to listen carefully because this is the part that makes people uncomfortable. The most powerful campaign tool in Nigerian politics is not a manifesto. It is not a debate performance. It is not even a rally. It is food. It is cash. It is a bag of rice. Political scientists call it clientelism. Nigerian voters call it, what did he bring? Here is how it works in practice. 6 months before the election, the serious candidate begins what insiders call stomach infrastructure. His people fan out across every ward in his target states, not with posters, with something real. They fix a borehole in one community, they pay school fees in another, they give cash at burials and weddings, they distribute food stuff at church harvests and mock celebrations. They are not buying votes yet, they are buying loyalty. There is a difference, and smart politicians understand that difference completely. By the time election day arrives, those communities do not feel like they are voting for a politician. They feel like they are paying a debt to someone who showed up when government did not. That psychological shift is worth more than any poster campaign. Here is something that will blow your mind. The most sophisticated Nigerian politicians do not campaign to voters, they campaign to structures. Let me explain. Nigeria has approximately 8,809 polling units across the country. Each polling unit has between 300 and 500 registered voters. A serious presidential candidate does not try to reach 80 million voters. He tries to reach the person who controls each of those 8,809 polling units. If you want control over the polling unit captain, you control the results from that unit. If you control enough units, you win the world. Control enough wards, you win the local government. Control enough local government, you win the states. Control enough states, you win Nigeria. It is a pyramid system, and the real campaign happens at the bottom of that pyramid, not on television. Nobody wants to talk about this, but political votes will. Ethnicity and religion are the most powerful gets out the vote machines in Nigerian electoral history. They are not bugs in the system, they are futures, deliberately activated by politicians who understand exactly what they are doing. Here is how it is deployed. A candidate does not say vote for me because I am Yoruba. That is too crude. Instead, his surrogates whisper in markets, in churches, in mosques, in beer parlors. Do you want them to take what belongs to us? This is our turn. If we do not protect our own, who will? That whisper travels faster than any television advertisement. It reaches places no campaign bus can go, and on election day, it delivers. The religious angle works the same way. A candidate quietly ensures that respected clerics in key states are, let us say, well taken care of. A new roof for the church, a generator for the mosques, and on the Sunday and Friday before election day, the message goes out to the congregation wrapped in the language of divine destiny. By the time those voters reach the polling units, they genuinely believe they are doing God's work, and that is not rigging. That is something far more powerful than rigging. Nigerian politicians have understood something that social media influencers are only just learning. Whoever controls the narrative controls the election. Here is how the media game is played at the highest level. First, own or influence key media houses before the campaign even begins. Not openly, through proxies, through advertising spend that makes editors think twice before running negative stories, through direct payments to journalists that the industry euphemistically calls brown envelopes. Second, flood the zone with noise. When a damaging story about your candidate breaks, you do not try to kill it, you drown it. You release 5 other stories simultaneously. You create a controversy about your opponent. You get your social media army, and every serious Nigerian politician in 2027 will have one. To trend a counter narrative until the original story is buried under avalanche. Third, and this is the most sophisticated today, you target the diaspora. Nigerian voters abroad cannot vote, but they can send money home. They can tell their relatives. They can post content that influences sentiments back home. The 2023 election showed that diaspora Nigerians were the most passionate political communicators in the country. Smart politicians in 2027 will have dedicated diaspora desks running 24 hours a day. I want to end with something that Nigerian voters rarely factor into their thinking on election day. The election does not end when the votes are counted. In Nigeria, the election ends in court, and the politician who plans for the courtroom before the election even happens is the most dangerous politician of all. There is what that looks like in practice. Before the election, a serious candidate has already retained the best election litigation lawyers in the country on standby. He has already documented every irregularity his opponent commits during the campaign. He has already identified which tribunals his cases will likely land in and studied every judge assigned to election petitions. He is not waiting to react. He is building his legal case simultaneously with his political campaign. And if he loses at the tribunal, he has already prepared his Supreme Court argument. Nigerian political history is full of men who lost at the polls and won in court, and men who won at the polls and lost everything in the tribunal. The ballot box is round 1. The courtroom is the final round. So the next time someone tells you Nigerian elections are just about rigging, tell them they are missing the bigger picture. The real game is about structures built over years, about psychological loyalty purchased long before election day, about ethnic and religious sentiment weaponized with surgical precision, about narratives manufactured and controlled, and about courtrooms that can undo everything the ballot box decided. Rigging is the last resort of the unprepared election. The truly dangerous ones never need to rig, because by the time you get to election day, they have already won. If this opened your eyes, share this video with someone who needs to understand how power really works in Nigeria. Subscribe to the Political Vote and hit the notification button. We drop these stories every week, and follow us on TikTok for the 60 seconds version of every story we tell. This is the Political Vote. I am Eli Bipialaka, the political storyteller. We say what others won't.